welcome everyone to our model risk webinar. We're going to talk today about how to move from at risk to model risk. So if you're an at risk user, how to move to model risk quickly and which are the basic steps, right? A little bit about model risk. Model risk is created and programmed by a software company called Vo Software, and this company has its headquarters in Belgium. They have more than 25, I would say 30 years of expertise doing quantitative risk analysis. They started as consultants and trainers, and they finally built this. They evolved as developers, and now they have currently 3 main products. One is ModelRisk, which has, I think, 18. This was end of 24, so this year should be 19 years of the market. Tamara, which does scheduling uncertainty, and Pelican, which does enterprise risk management. We have videos in our video library for all of them. Right? So in case you want a software demo, of course, you can contact Jameson Romeo Hall, which is here, who oversees the US, and we have also Dan Goldrum, who's here, who oversees the rest of the world. So maybe you can say hi a little bit, Jameson and Dan, just for people to know you guys.
Great. Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. Yes, my name's Jameson Romeo Hall, and I cover the US and Canada.
Excellent. Good. I missed Canada. I'm not sure, Dan, I remember that you had issues with your camera, but if you can say hi, that would be great. Or maybe, yeah, Dan had some issues with the camera.
I'm here.
Oh, here, yeah.
I'm here. I've got issues with my camera, but welcome everybody. It's nice to see some names here. I look forward to the demo, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well.
Thank you, guys. So, excellent. Now you have new members of the team here joining us. So here are some of the clients, some of our logos that you will be familiar with in energy sector, pharma sector, foods, I don't know, retail, technology, etc. So just a little bit of what does ModelRisk do. So please remember that ModelRisk is a Monte Carlo simulation in Excel, right? That means that you have a model in Excel, you have this little model, and then you can add, right, input variables on top of it. You have results as outputs, and then you run a simulation, and you will get a distribution as the result. And this is what I'm going to show in a minute, right? You have more than 130 distributions to choose from, meaning that you can use ModelRisk for basic users, where you use 4 or 5 distributions, or you can use it for deep research, right? With more than 130 different distributions. Users can include very easily uncertainty and risk events. What else you can do in ModelRisk? You also have scenarios, which is called they are called sim tables. We have a video in our video library about sim tables. Correlation and copulus, we have a new video that we added last month. Time series and complete reporting capabilities. So this is a complete suite of, I would say, Monte Carlo simulation in Excel with all these different advanced features. Plus, right? You have portfolio optimization using this CAPM model. If you're in finance, you can integrate it with Pelican, which is the ERM tool, time series, and the data and results viewer that we're going to see today, right? So just a brief overview of what ModelRisk does, right? You have key drivers reporting, simulation imported data, etc. So every month we're going to have a masterclass, and we're having a masterclass about ModelRisk. And today's one was specifically a welcome webinar for both Dan and Jameson, because this is something that we normally do internally, and we wanted to share it with everyone, which is what happens if you're an at-risk user, and how is it that you convert to ModelRisk, right? So we have 4 main features that I want to show today, which makes this conversion and this transition a really, really simple one. Now, we normally would say it's not a switch or a change, it's an update, and you will see why. You will see why that this happens. So what I had here, I have ModelRisk open. You see that ModelRisk has a ribbon to Excel, right, like this, right? And the first thing that we listen from our users is that they say, you know, but the options are in different places, right? You see that you have select distribution here, then you have the correlation, then you have the aggregation, right? You have time series fitting, etc. And at-risk has a different location for each and every one of the options of the ribbon. So what we did with ModelRisk, you can go here to settings, customize ribbon, and you can make it at-risk style like this, right? So what happens is that if you come to ModelRisk again, now your ModelRisk is going to look like at-risk, right? So that makes it very simple, especially for sometimes new users or for maybe old users, even more old users that are used to the places and to the cycle that at-risk generated at the beginning, right? So the functionality is very similar, and you will see now when I open a demo, when a demo model, and you see what with this you ease the learning curve, right? You make it very simple for people to change. Always you can switch it back like this. Standard, all features. I switch back. I don't even need to reload the model or rerun ModelRisk, and the options are there. This is one thing that I wanted to show, right? Which is here, right? Adapt the menu. Second thing, right, is the better language change. I'm going to convert the models at the end, right? Better language change. So what does it mean? I remember that without risk, you needed the language package, right? So if you have, I don't know, some things in French or in Spanish or Portuguese, right? You need to change to load the package and install it. Here, what you can do, you can easily come here to settings language and change it. For example, I don't know, in Spanish, and then you will change it like this, you see? And now you have everything in Spanish. Or we have different languages here, French, German, Portuguese, Italian, etc. So that makes it very simple for you to change that. And you don't need any additional software packages, right? It comes with the software. So that's the second thing I wanted to show you. So you see that right now, in less than 5 minutes, you see that you have an environment that it's pretty much very similar to what you have in at-risk now. So that's going to, of course, again, ease the journey from at-risk to ModelRisk. Now, what happens if you have models already built in at-risk, right? So let me show you here. I'm going to open a couple of models that I have here in at-risk, right? Let me move you here. For example, this one here, the one that reads, I don't know, cash flow and risk register, right? So this is the model that I want to change, right? And you see what you have. It's a lot of the, and you know that, a lot of the risk definition, risk PERT, like this, you see? So the logic here, risk output, right? Here you have some strategic risks, and this is full of Poisson distributions and PERT distributions, right? So what you can do, you can open the file, and when you open the file, you go to ModelRisk, and you say, here in convert model, you go to convert from at-risk. So this one is going to convert the current model, right? Only one model. So it's going to convert the current model like this, right? So you do it like that. This is going to generate this simple screen, and it will say, well, you know, you want to convert the active worksheet or all the sheets in the active workbook. You see, because sometimes you have just one sheet that has the model, and perhaps the rest of the model is really big, so you don't need to convert everything, right? So that's one thing. And the other is that you will need to know which was converted, which functions were converted and which wouldn't, in case you use something very, very specific, which is maybe 3-5% of the cases, right? And if I like, I can output the conversion report to Excel to a new workbook or a new sheet. I'm going to leave it here, right? The conversion report in the same sheet so you can see it. And finally, I'm going to rename the converted file to this converted, like this, right? So I run it like that. This is going to generate, you see, a progress report, and you can see what's doing, right? You can see it live, right? And what it did, it generated a conversion report, which is the one that I talked about here. And let me see what happened here. Well, you see that risk, remember that you have some swap distributions here. So for the swap, normally you will have to eliminate that from the model. But for the main model, take a look here. It's already changed everything. You see, it changed the both input, it changed the both PERT, both input and both PERT. It changed the output, like you have here. Right? It changed the output for the IRR as well. Right? What else do you have? Oh, and the strategic risks. For the strategic risk, you see, it changed all the Poisson distributions. So you see that in terms of the functionality, is exactly the same as you had before, and it is working perfectly, right? So if I like, I can come here to the model, and I can run a simulation very, very quickly, like this, right? So it refreshes the model. I am not going to explain this yet, the new interface or the results viewer, which is very, very superior to the one that you will have in address. But you see that now you have the latest results, and you can generate, I don't know, a tornado chart if you like, or you can generate anything that you need, right? Directly from the model. So this is one way of converting your models, right? So I will close this one, right? You see that if I want, I can save it in my race models or not, right? I will say don't save, and I will come back, and you see what happened. And this is what I wanted to show you, is that now you have the original one in address format and the converted one, right? So you see that these are the two things that it did automatically, right? Now, let me eliminate the model, right? Let's do this in a batch way. That means that what happens if you have, in my case, I have 3 models, right? Because of time, but you can do this with 50, 100. Yesterday, we were talking with the Bose team, and they told us that all the address models that you would normally receive when you install it, you can convert them with a really, really high, more than 90% success rate, meaning that you will only have to focus on the ones that didn't work, right? And didn't work means that, for example, you use, again, something very specific on some legacy functionality there, right? Now, let's go with the second option, which is called the from address in bulk, like this, right? So what happens is that you will have an input and an output directory like this. So my input directory is in my desktop. It's called the risk models, right? Which is here. And I have another folder. Let me show you here in my desktop, which is called the ModelRisk models, which is empty. You see here, this is empty. And this is my destination folder. So all the converted models will come here. So I will go here to the output directory, desktop ModelRisk models, like that, right? And basically, it does the exact same thing that you saw it did, but now with a batch setup, meaning that you're not going to open each and every file to do it manually. You just see a progress bar. So let me start the conversion here, and you will see what happens. I have 2 monitors, so my progress bar is going to come here. Let me show you here. You see, workbooks 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, you see, and it changes, it converts everything. You see, even with big models like that one. And then you have a really nice report about the models you see here. So for the airline revenue management model, this is what it did. And take a look to what it does. You see, round risk normal to Bose normal, round risk binomial to Bose binomial, right? You have from risk output to Bose output, like that. And then if you want to go the cost estimation one, you see the cost estimation, or the travel airplane model, right? Which is this one here, right? So you can see these 3 reports from the models. This is on an interface. If you like, you can see that as an Excel sheet like this that open automatically like this, right? So well, in this case, we have 3 files. The 3 files, they have different names, you see here. And you can take a look to each one of them, right? If each one of the details, right? Like that, to what it did, right? And it goes on and on until you get it right, right? In this case, we have 100%, but sometimes you have 97, 99. Sometimes if you remember that you have the risk results graphic functionality, for example, you have the linked graphic functionality in ModelRisk, which is a little bit different. ModelRisk is way simpler. So these are the types of things that you have to care about, right? Now, besides the report that you get here, you would also get the ModelRisk models here as well, right? So these are you have the conversion report, and for example, I don't know, the travel airplane converted. So I open it, and this is already working, right? You see that you have all of this as a ModelRisk, right? So you see, it makes it very, very simple to do the conversion. So this is the third reason, right? First reason, the ribbon. Second reason, the language. Third reason, the conversion in its two flavors, the current and the batch one. The fourth reason, and let me open a quick model that I have here. Right? The fourth reason is the results viewer, right? I'm not, you see that now you've seen, close this other model that I have here, the travel airplane. Yeah, I don't need to use it, not even this blank cell. Here you go. So what I have here, this is something that we've explained many times, is a cost estimation that I have here, cost estimation plus a risk register. And the idea of this model is to show how can you add uncertainty in the shape of distributions here, and also you have discrete risks that could happen. Both are going to generate the typical, right, uncertainty plus risk framework. And it is that you can sum the results of both, right? You can sum the results of both the uncertainties and the risks into one output, right? And then you can run it. So a couple of things. First of all, let me run the simulation, and you will see a couple of things that are a little bit different and better. So one is the speed. The speed is practically the same, or a little bit faster than at risk. So I wouldn't say that ever that speed is lower. That's one. Second thing is that if you like, and this is totally optional, you see that you have something that is called the spark line here, right? So some people like it. I really like it because basically it lets me see if I am getting the right distribution shape or not, right? If I run this model and I have a distribution like this, something is off. Or if I have a distribution like this, very symmetrical, it's off too. But if I am in the uncertainty, I want for the distribution to be symmetrical, right? That's normally how uncertainty works. So these are the two types of things that you can do that really makes it very easy to use. And you just have to play it with the cells. So you don't need to even open the results if you don't want to. Now, if you go to the results after the simulation, you have a complete platform for the results. So this differs a lot from what you have in at-risk, where you can have only one cell, and then you have to drag and drop things on top of that. In this case, this is a platform where you can see all the simulations. So if you're a user of sim tables, right, all the simulations are going to be here, and you will have simulation 1, simulation 2, simulation 3, etc. Right? If you don't want to see it, of course, you can say, I don't want to see the simulations, and then you just turn it off. Then you have, for each one of the sheets of your model that contain inputs or outputs, you will have a different hierarchy here. In this case, you have one tab because you have the cost estimation one. So in the cost estimation, you see that you have all the inputs. So what I'm looking at right now, this histogram, let me close this one. This histogram, what I can say, I don't want to see the histogram of my output. I want to see the histogram of my input. And I can start, you see, showing that. Or if I want, I can compare the total cost with the implementation one, like this. So this is something that in at-risk you needed to do some tricks to make an input and output, so you will be able to do it. In this case, this is much, much simpler because it's just a matter of overlaying with the ticket, with the checkboxes that you have there, right? So very simple. Now, what else you can do? Of course, you can change the graphic type to cumulative ascending. You can change the graphic to operator chart where it combines the histogram and the cumulative, or you can see it as a box plot, right? Which is something that you didn't have. So in this case, now you have the box plot. You can see the different frontiers here, or the different limits. You can change these limits, right? And also you can see the outliers. In this case, we have one, right? Like that. So this is something that comes very, very quickly with the software. Now, please remember about the philosophy of this model, right? That you have the total cost and the total uncertainty and risk, right? And then you can easily make the case, why is it, what happens when you added the risk, right? Basically, the distribution shifted to the right, right? Because you added the risks. When you overlay it, it looks nice, but sometimes people prefer, I prefer do it like this. You see, when you have one curve, this is the original uncertainty, then you have the uncertainty and the risks like this, you see? So basically we created this shift into the curve that moved to the right, right? Now, what else you can do? What else you can do? Let's say that you want to see the key drivers of a model, like the same as you did in AdRisk, so you can generate a tornado chart. And you see what happens is that you have like a sandbox here, right? Where you start to add more and more analysis, right? So this is like a platform for that data analysis. And what you can say is that, okay, so let's take a look to the total uncertainty and risks like this. This is the conditional mean report, right? The same as you have in AdRisk. You have the number of tranches, it's 10, 20, etc. So basically, it's the same analysis that you had before. You have 8 different tornado charts. So the most common one, of course, the rank correlation one that compares what's the correlation of each one of the, in this case, the risks or the uncertainties compared with the total cost. You can change this to something more specialized, to the proportional contribution to spread, which is the same as the contribution to variance that you have in AdRisk, which basically disaggregates everything in 100%. And this 100% is shown here. So if you sum up all of these bars, basically what you're saying is that the implementation is in charge or is responsible for 40% of the risk, right? I'm sorry, for 40% of the variability of the risk, right? And you can do the same, not in percentage, but in the same units. It could be millions here, or it could be any units. One thing that you have here in ModelRisk is when you set up outputs, you can set up the unit of the output like this, right? So you can set it up, and then you can see all the results with the unit. So this is something that you can do as well. Now, in terms of graphical options, you have, let me show it here with the cumulative. You can have the same functionality that you used to have in AdRisk. You have markers here. For example, you can say, I want a marker in 230, for example. And I was, you see, I have my marker here, which is 44%, and I have it in 230. Or remember that you can overlay this, and then you can move it like that. So you can see this percentiles. The good thing about the marker is that it adapts when you have more curves that are being shown. So you see, all of this, you have it. A couple of additional features that you have. You can always copy the selected chart, of course. Then you can come back here, right? Paste it, right? Really good quality. You can go back, right? And you can insert, if you want to see all the samples from the distributions, you can see the data list here. The very nice thing about the data list is that you can say, I just want to see the outputs, and you will see this. Or I just want to see these two plus the implementation. And then you can mix and match with which ones you want to see. You just right click here, copy all, and then you go to Excel and paste it. Easy. If you want to see statistics, the same thing, right? You can see the mean, the minimum, maximum, etc. The percentiles, as you had in AdRisk, and then you can copy that and paste it, right? What else you can do? You can see the box plot, a box plot graphic like this. And this is exactly what I was showing before, right? For example, to tell the story, right? You started with the total cost here, without the uncertainty, then you added the risks like that, right? This is the cost, I'm sorry, this is the cost of the risks, and the summation of the two, right, is going to generate the total uncertainty risks, right, which is here. So it's basically, you see that everything moves a little bit to the right, right? That's basically what we're trying to say here, right? That everything moved to the right, right? So these are the types of things that you could do that are not feasible with at risk, and that you can have this very quickly. If you like as well, for example, let's say that we want a graphic here. Let me eliminate this and run again. We want the cumulative here. So you can say link chart. You select the graphic that you like, click here, and this is going to move this chart to Excel. So this is the replacement of the risk results graphic, right? Like that. So every time I run the model, this graphic and all the subsequent graphics that I add here to other sheets that have a linkage are going to be updated, right? So you don't need to update those as well, right? So you see that, and with this I will finish the demonstration of the results viewer. The results viewer is a much better component of the process on the platform. It's a complete platform. You see that in at-risk, it's just the analysis of the variables. Here's the complete platform where you can turn on and off the different components. Plus, remember that you have the capability of adding simulations as well, right? For each one of the graphics that you have a dynamic option here. So, for example, if I go to statistics, I have statistics option. But if I go to the tornado, I have the tornado options, you see? So you can validate all of that. For all of them, you also have, for example, for the tornado, you have the options where you can change the x-axis, y-axis, the colors, etc. Okay. Now, additional things that you have in ModelRisk is the appearance of cells, because I know that some of you people liked, and this is something that I used to like to in at-risk, where you can see that blue cells are inputs, red cells are outputs, right? So what you can do, you can go to the model option here. You can say, I want to filter all the inputs like this. I apply it. I select all of them because I just have the inputs, and I say define cell appearance. And with that, I will say, well, I want this color, this orange color. I don't want to change the font, but the color is going to be black. So I apply it. So take a look. All the inputs are orange now. I can filter again and say I want to see the outputs like this, right? So the outputs here, when I have the outputs, I can change the appearance and say, no, I don't know, let's make it green like this. And they are green now. See? So that really helps when you want to set up the model, right? So this is the model window that you had. I remember that in at-risk you had a model window as well, right? Now, any questions? Do we have any questions? Otherwise, I will show you a couple of additional things. No? Well, if not, let me see if I am telling you everything. Oh, here you go. About what I remember that I missed. I can share with you this presentation, of course, about the distribution selection. I knew I was missing that one. About selecting the distribution here. You have the 130 plus distributions that I talked about during the presentation. And you have different, you see, you have the most common ones, the subjective ones, discrete ones, continuous, event size, frequency, bounded, unbounded, waiting times, etc., plus the most utilized distributions that you have, right? And you have the typical features that you will find in a Monte Carlo simulation package, right? Which are, you have the ability to use correlations and copulas, right? That means that if I have these distributions here, for example, I can say set up correlations for them, right? And I can easily set correlations for them like that. And we have a video in our video library that explains this in an hour. So if you're interested in that. We have a completed time series setup, right? And we have more than 14 different time series. One thing that it's important, that something that you won't find in at-risk, is that we have this SME time series. It means subject matter expert time series. where you can set up time series with very simple 3-point estimations like this, where you ask your subject matter expert of the estimations, and then this is going to generate the time series without the use of the formula. Of course, you will have a different time series like that, right? The typical time series that that do it like let me see here, and a univariate time series like the, I don't know, the geometric random motions and all that. You will have that as well, right? Is there a feature similar to template sheets? You know, let me see here, because in the results, what you can do, I don't think so, because what you know, maybe you can, I will, if you leave me your email, I will respond to you, because I know that you have these embedded Excel reports, but I'm not 100% sure if it is the same as the template sheets. For all of you, if you remember, in AdRisk, you have these sheets that you have to call like risk something or risk template. And then you have a template, and the template was automatically generated as a sheet with values, right? So if you can leave me your email, or I will see it in the list, I can double check and copy everyone, right? Because this is the first time that I got this question. Normally you have this, right? This report here, where you can see reports and you can generate reports about for example, the variables, the histograms, you have the cumulative ascending and all that like this, right? But I will have to double check, because this is the report that I've used. Let me use the other one, just out of curiosity to see it. And then you can see, this is the typical report that you will get. And then you will have another package of reports, which are here, the created tabs. I'm not sure if these are the ones that you're looking for. Let's see, no, I don't think so, no. No, these are more reports about the software, right? About the, you see, the cumulative, the tornado charts, the statistics, the box plot, etc. Right? So it's a really good one. Thank you for that one. Thank you for that question. All right. Let me see what else. If you go here to settings, you can have the same settings that you had in AdRisk in terms of the seed selection, the seed generation, right? The values, if you have multiple simulations, what do you use? If you want to show the results window or not, to refresh the Excel every X number of iterations, to stop in an output error, things that you had in AdRisk. You have macros as well, so you can connect with macros if you're an advanced user. And here you have some application settings. This one here, it's much simpler than AdRisk. It's very pragmatic. And it doesn't do, you remember that in AdRisk you have like 100 or more, that it was very difficult to change. Here you have the box plot percentiles, the histogram sliders, the trend plot percentiles, how you like the histogram bars and the views, the global time average if you need one, etc. Right? And where's the library? Right? One thing that I don't know if AdRisk still has, but this one has ModelRisk has, and I really like it, is the seeds library. So you can generate from the output of any cell that is an output, you can create a simulated object, which is called a seed, and then you can put the seed anywhere in the sheet. For example, here I have this fixed cost, for example, this fixed cost seed, and I can insert it here in my cell. Imagine that here. Right. And this seed, it's basically a cost set of random samples, but these random samples, they come from another model. So imagine, and this is something that we were working with an insurance company, they had 3 or 4 big, really big models, and they just wanted the outputs from these 3 models to be consolidated in a 4th one, but the model was too big and they couldn't make it. So we created a seed, and each one of these were a different seed from different models, right? So it's basically the output, the results, let's say the partial results, and then we apply the logic to consolidate all of them, right? Like this here. So this is something that you can do as well, right? Where you want to have that. So to finalize in terms of help and support, yeah, you have these videos that you can see, look online. You have the models. I'm sorry, you can see the models here. Nice thing about the models is that you have a complete library like this, right? And then you can check all of them, right? So this is something that you can really take advantage from that, because you have, oh my, you have dozens of models that you can download, right? You can go here and go to the risk trial if you like. You can take a look to the risk trial, right? Or here you have the ModelRisk example models if you like to see it from here. Oh, here you go. This is the visualization, for example, in terms of complexity. I don't know, operational risk. So you take a look to this. You can download the model if you like, and here you have a complete explanation of the model, right? So it's very rich, the library that you have. Now, there's one thing, and I'm going to give you, Jameson, the control for a second. One thing that it's very important, that ModelRisk doesn't have many different options in terms of, you see that in others you have the, I don't remember exactly, the standard, the industrial, the universal. In this case, you have one ModelRisk that has all of this together.